Hey guys, sorry for the bad lighting here, but I'm doing this in the back of the Jeep. The reason I'm doing this back here because it's somewhat appropriate. Mike over at TechPB did a video, and I'll put a link to it somewhere on the screen around here someplace. Oh, there it is somewhere. He did a video talking about why the sport of paintball is dying. And he did it while driving, so he was in the front seat, so I figured, yeah, I might as well do this in the back seat. Yeah. So, a lot of people have been asking me for my commentary on his video or whatever, and here's the thing. I am a cynic. I know that I am a cynic. I am highly cynical. But that being said, I don't think the sport is dying. I think it's going through an evolution. Without getting too much into it, I'll just kind of cite this. Way back when, in the 90s, the IPPA, International Paintball Players Association, big thing back then, they did an informal study, and they found out that most players are in and out of the sport from 3 to 5 years. I want you to think about that. When was the last big boom of paintball? It was about 3 or 5 years ago, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so I'm not surprised that a lot of the fields are closing and there's not a lot of players anymore because their cycle's done. And it's just because there's a huge burnout rate. You can tell where I'm recording this on the street, right? But there's a big burnout rate in the sport. And it's, I don't want to say it's built into the sport, but it's out there. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that there's less players playing, that there's less fields, there's less stores, because it's just the cycle. I have about a 20-some-odd year perspective on this, because after a while you just see the same cycles happening over and over and over again. And it's kind of been stagnating in that way, but it's not dying. Paintball in itself is still a multi-million-dollar industry. There's still hundreds of fields in the United States that are open. There are still thousands of players who will go to some of the larger events. I could take this Jeep, drive it within about a 1-hour radius, and I could find a paintball field that's operational this weekend. I can do that, and I know that. So I would hardly call this a state of death. I would more call it a state of evolution. The game is changing. One thing that a lot of old players like myself, we have a problem, and that is that we have a tendency to look at the sport through rose-colored goggles. You know, the old days are always better. There were more players back then. There were more quality players back then. Everything was better way back in the past. We lie to ourselves pretty badly. And the difference is, how well do you know that you're lying to yourself? And I realize that I am. So, I just want to put that as a perspective out there. The sport's not dying. I don't think it's going anywhere. Maybe that's a good thing or maybe it's a bad thing, depending on how you take that statement, but there you are. So, yeah, that's my video rebuttal. And if you really want me to go into details about it, I'll be more than happy to do so. Just not tonight, because I really want to go get dinner, and I'm losing light rapidly. The dome light in my Jeep is not going to film very well in about 5 minutes, so we're just going to call it at that.